delighted to be joined by our friend Dan Lanning here. Dan, it comes to mind, I mean, so many people around you helped you get through this. How has this impacted specifically the way you coach teams and the way you lead programs?
I heard Coach talk about it the other day, transformational, right? It changes the way you want to do things, and forever you chase your dreams. Every one of us is really ambitious, and sometimes we just aren't patient enough to realize how blessed we are to be exactly where we're at. I've learned to really enjoy my blessings wherever I'm at, enjoy that experience and understand how I can impact people, the people that I'm around, and the people that impact me. It's been really rewarding.
This man's unbelievable. Listen, the other day I was talking to him, and I'm like, man, Oregon is far, bro. Okay? That is a long trip, fresh out from Berkeley. And he looks at me and he goes, on a FaceTime, he goes, there's no complaining from the yacht, brother. A lot of people
can't complain from the yacht. Speaking of complaining from the yacht, this dude left his wallet in my office yesterday.
Yeah, that's on me. That's on me. Dan Lanning's a hero.
Too much flight time or something.
Yeah, Dan Lanning's a hero, but he's coaching me up every single day. And that story right there, you please let Sophia know from this entire game day crew, she is a badass. That is a...
No doubt.
Yeah. That was wonderful, man.
And she's fine, too, isn't she? She looked good, too. I was watching that thinking, man, Mom looks good.
It's not only just about you appreciating your blessings. You're being a blessing to her, your family, and all the players that you touch. So that's really important, and that puts it in perspective as well as you can.
It's been great. So we're set up for a big game now here, Kirk, too.
Cool story about Coach. So when Sophia got sick, he sent a football with a special message from Coach Saban, and that's the first story Sophia always tells. I got my football with Coach Saban's signature and a nice message about her battle, so pretty cool for me.
What was it like being a GA for Coach?
All right. One more quick story. One more quick story. So the most prepared coach I've ever been around. I learned more in my career than any other point in my career working for Coach Saban. But in the hotel room, right before you go to the game, you do these walkthroughs, and the young coaches, they run the routes.
Oh,
right? But we're wearing suits. So you're running full speed routes in suits in the hotel room. And I remember, he's the GOAT, right? And there's a reason. But I remember I ran a route once, and I kind of got a guy, came back, and he came over, and he put his arm on my shoulder. And I remember looking at the other GAs like, Coach Saban's touching my shoulder. So, I was in awe for the whole year that I was there, getting the opportunity to work for him.
How old are you, Dan?
38.
Let's go, dude.
Young buck.
Aging quick.
Thank you. You didn't get your ass chewed out, though, did you?
Maybe once. At kids camp. I got my ass chewed out one time at kids camp from Kirk Saban. I was running the bag drills wrong. Can't run the bag drills wrong.
Normally we would ask you as a defensive head coach about the Ohio State offense, but let's take a look at the other side and talk about some of the things Ohio State's defense is doing.
So it's a really a good challenge here. You can see these guys are lined up with the safety in the middle of the field. You can see Pat pointing out right there, right? So you think you have man-to-man. They look like they're in press, and then you'll see on the snap their nickel, their star will go to the half. So they're disguising man-to-man coverage and then kicking to, a cover two, which is going to be change the picture for the quarterback, make it really challenging.
So the quarterback sees the corners like this and a safety in the middle. And like you said, he's thinking this is man-to-man. But
that's right.
Post-snap movement
Post-snap,
really
it becomes a cover two shell. And when you got a really good pass rush like Ohio State does, it makes it really, really challenging.
Okay, let's see what we have on our next one here.
Yeah, similar look again. You got a safety in the middle of the field. You got the star down. And then on the snap, you see the boundary safety that's covering number two here, capping number two, kicking to the half, right? Kind of Kathy corner here, right? Defending the flat and taking away some zones.
The whole goal there is Ohio State's to try to make that quarterback hold the football to allow that pass rush to get home.
Absolutely. And I mean, at the end of the day, offenses have answers for man and they have answers for zone. Well, this quarterback right now, pre-snap, thinks it's what?
Man-to-man.
Man-to-man. And then he gets up and it's not.
Zone.
And all of a sudden, you got to play quarterback.
It affects the receivers and their route running as well.
Absolutely.
Right?
You change your routes based on the look.
Earlier, I said that this is what they need to do because you have a young receiver in Jeremiah Smith. Very talented, but he hasn't seen a lot of different looks.
Pre-snap,
that's on the back end, exactly.
Is that what you're going to do?
We're going to triple team him.
That's kid 4. 4 is pretty good.
He's a good player.
They got a lot of them.
You know, the thing about disguising, though, is post-snap, the quarterback's got to look at the ball to catch the ball when he's in the gun.
Right.
And when you change the picture and he looks up and it's something different than what he thought it was to start with, that's very confusing for a quarterback. You need to do a little of that today.
It's a cat and mouse game.
On his side, he's got a veteran guy to run it. Dan, thanks a lot. Always great to have you with us, my friend. You're the best. Thanks for everything. Not only is Dan leaving, but our buddy Kirk Herbstreit now has to hit the road and head out to the Red River Rivalry.
I'm heading out. You guys have a great show. Great job.
That's a good show. That's a good
Kirk,
show.
see you later.
You know what? The cool thing is we're going to be able to follow Kirk all the way to Dallas, or at least until we go off the air, technology willing. This is on our producer, associate producer, Jonathan Wiley. If this doesn't work, man, it's going to be a problem for him. Sure. All right, safe travels. Safe travels,
brother.
All right.
Got a big game here tonight, obviously. Ohio State and Oregon in a square up. Not only a great two, seeing her. Oh, look at this. Force in a convertible.
Who's driving? You know who's driving. That's the D machine.
Look at this guy.
Herbie, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yeah. I can hear you great. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can see you, everything.
Yeah.
Blue eyes are sparkling.
Yeah,
life is good, huh?
Yeah, we're everything's great. We're going really fast right now.
got like an escort. Hey, is that car from your dealership, Nick? Yeah, did you provide that ride?
Looks like a Mercedes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Do we have 2 cameras on him? Is there 2 cameras?
2 cameras, at least. It takes a lot to get all of that handsome, Pat.
I can barely get a
single.
That's fine.
We'll continue to track Kirk's progress and update as conditions warrant. In Los Angeles today, Penn State and SC. You know, Sam Darnold leading the Trojans out of the tunnel, and they face Penn State. Although probably a better idea if Anthony Munoz or Tony Baselli came out in full uni, given the state of SC's line to deal with that pass rush from Penn State. This has gotten some play lately after the same number of games, 32 games. Clay Helton, a game better, has conference championship. Lincoln Riley doesn't have it yet. Penn State here comes in as a favorite. But what do you make of what's going on here with Penn State and SC?
Well, I tell you what, when you look at Penn State's offense, I mean, they're prolific, right? Going against this USC defense who may be without Eric Gentry. He's had some concussion problems. They say he may take a red shirt, so they may be without one of their leaders on defense. But USC, you think about the Trojans and offense, and you talked about Clay Helton, how the records are very similar, but everyone couldn't wait to get Clay Helton out of there. Seems like they're a little bit more patient now with Lincoln Riley. I just think that when you look at their offense, they don't have big guys up front. They're not physical. When I reached out to 3 former players, they say that's the first thing that they see. In the trenches, they're not big enough, they're not physical.
Well, I think the big thing is Lincoln Riley's a great offensive coach, but when you don't have good people up front and they really struggle with offensive tackle, even though they got a really good quarterback in Miller Moss, they can't really utilize the talent that they have. And, then Penn State, who is, to me, a very complete team. They're good on offense. They can make explosive plays. They got a good quarterback. They can run the ball. They're 8th in the country on defense. So they're kind of a complete complementary team that I think is going to be a very difficult matchup for them.
Here's the story with the conference realignment. These West Coast teams coming into Big Ten, can they play Big Ten football?
Right.
Big Ten football is rough and tough. We're handing it off. It needs to be able to survive all 4 seasons. Here's a USC staffer on the defensive side that they're not going to love to hear. In their 3 Big Ten games, USC has given up 589 yards rushing. Okay, that's a lot of yards. 385 of them have come after contact. Seems like they're potentially on the defensive side not prepared or maybe not personneled up enough to be able to handle the pounding of Big Ten football. There are too many. What cars do you sell? What are the nice ones you sell?
Mercedes or Ferraris?
No, either of them. They need some Ram trucks in there. They got too many Ferraris. They got too many Mercedes that Herbstreit's in. They need a 2,500 heavy-duty Ram truck. That's really how I believe that. That's Big Ten football, Herbie.
Yeah, well, I think I'm just going to act like everything's normal right now. I think I don't know which camera I'm on, but I think Penn State with the new offensive coordinator has been an
I can't
amazing
hear
story.
a word you're saying, Herbie. Okay, let me tell you why. It sounds great. It looks great. Darren Brown is driving a Mercedes-Benz in the left lane in Oregon right now. You got 2 cars flanking you with a camera, and you got your flashers on. This might be the most absurd thing that has ever happened on television. You look amazing. You look amazing.
I called him the mayor of college football. I think we have to promote him. The mayor doesn't get this kind of
This guy's governor. This guy might be president.
The governor of the president of college football.
But he is also a man who knows Big Ten football well. And although he is in a Mercedes and looks good, you got to be able to pound it, don't you think, and stop the run, Kirk Herbstreit?
You know, one thing that I'd like to add, since we're having trouble with Kurt, is how does NIL really affect big people on the West Coast? Because that's something that you've always had to import to have the kind of defensive lineman and the offensive lineman. And maybe that's had some impact on this problem that USC has in the offensive line and up front.
Well, you know what? Big people, Clay Helton, Lincoln Riley can't do it. Don't forget, Big Ten teams that have traveled 2 or more time zones in power conference games, 1 and 10.
Whoa.
Oh, maybe SC's not out of it here yet.
I'll counter that with, Coach, you brought up the offensive line. I love the matchup. The last 9 times, James Franklin's been a road favorite. 9-0, they've won the game. 9-0, they've covered the spread. Taking Penn State.
Looking good.
You said
Looking
your little
good for the
stat.
Nittany Lions. Okay, all right.
It is. Who's the only one? Who's that 1 and 1 and 10?
Indiana. At UCLA.
Signetti. Write him if you got him. 6 dogs. Penn State could do it today, obviously. They're a power team.
You know, I really think that this time zone thing that you brought up, I think people ought to do some medical study on how that affects and impacts performance, because I do think there's something to that. When I was at the Dolphins, we came west and played. There is something to it. We'll talk about it later.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll see. Let's talk about Penn State, USC, one of the marquee games of the day. Good opportunity for the Trojans.